Today's special guest is Jay Rios with Rivers Realty, property manager out of St. Louis. Welcome, Jay.
All right, thanks, Madeline. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
And can you start off? I know we talked about it a little bit before, but
Yeah,
can you start off by telling our audience a little bit about how you got started in real estate and how you
sure.
got to where you're at now?
Yeah, definitely. So my family had been in real estate I'm third generation now. So my
Okay.
grandparents started back in the 70s. My parents continued it a little bit, kind of did a few businesses. Real estate was more of like a side thing. And then when I came of age at 18, when I could get my license, I did, started sweeping hallways and just renting apartments, worked my way up a little bit. Obviously learned in the ins and outs of property management, went on to take on other clients, had about 160 units in all at one point while doing Airbnb. This was kind of back before it kind of oversaturated now, but this was like
It's
right before the pandemic.
oversaturated. I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's pretty saturated in St. Louis.
I would say so. Yeah,
Okay.
they just actually passed some new regulations requiring a bunch more changes to who you can and can't host, how many people you can host. You have to have like a specific agent, someone who's who you can contact at all times. So anyway, yeah, there's a bunch of new policies in St. Louis, at least county and city,
When
most
did that go
recently.
into effect?
It was November of last year, but I guess you have until like May to actually get
Mm.
your permit. So,
To make the changes? Do they need to
hmm
get licensed now too?
You have to take license, I guess. I mean, you have to at least register yourself with St. Louis City, name, contact information. You have to post that in the Airbnb itself. So all guests will have direct, access to it.
To be able to find you somehow if
hmm
they need to.
hmm
For
hmm
transparency, it sounds like.
Yeah, I guess so. Cracking down on parties.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's St. Louis is just notorious for it. I don't know what it is. And maybe this is in other cities too. I don't know how Denver is, but um, yeah, the city especially, just promoters and stuff like that. It just
Mm.
gets a little too crazy over here. So I'm
Yeah.
partially glad. I mean, it's, as someone who's been through it, partially glad to see it because people are taking advantage of uh, the craziness and those who can afford, super
Yeah.
expensive units because they're splitting it between 20 people or what have you. So,
Yeah.
um,
I mean,
anyway,
well, I think a lot of property owners, they're just looking at the bottom line, right? They see the numbers in
exactly.
Airbnb and so they're all kind of flocking toward the Airbnb if they're in the right areas, but they don't expect that. And they're not
No,
planning for those kind of things. In Denver, they
exactly.
did pass something similar to where you do need to get licensed.
hmm
And I think the challenge was in Denver, anyway, was that zoning for like a single family home is for a single family. And so
hmm
when you're getting into, like you said, maybe 20 people
Rentals,
at a property and
right?
property in a house is not made for that capacity, and it gets into kind of some. I
Exactly.
think it just kind of it becomes more maybe of a commercial use, and I think that's kind of where in part where it stood in Denver, and they wanted some more regulation around it. And now actually in Denver, you can't have just in the city and county of Denver. I know there's
hmm
some suburbs that are a little bit different right now, but you
hmm
can't have an Airbnb unless it's at your owner occupied property. So you can only have Airbnb if it's your carriage house or your mother-in-law
Duplex, and you're
basement.
living in
Or
one. Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah.
can't be. You can't buy properties
It
now
has to be
that
a
are
primary
separate of where you
residence.
live just to use them for
hmm
that legally. So
hmm
that's interesting because I
hmm
know there's a lot of people that bought them for
hmm
with the
There
intent of
were.
cash flowing them.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not like it's a dead deal necessarily. I mean, there are pivots that you can make primarily toward medium term rentals, as you may have heard, traveling nurses, for example, who
Yeah.
have 3 month contracts. So, would be there for a certain amount of time. But those also come with caveats. It's they don't get a lot of notice when they're renewing their contract.
Yeah.
That's difficult. It might be difficult to find them at certain times of the year too.
And a
But
higher
there are still
turnover.
opportunities.
And a higher
Yeah,
turnover, right? I mean, if it's every 3 to
definitely.
6 months, so we gotta factor that in also,
For sure.
but
For
I
sure.
agree that
You're
is
on
a
track.
happy medium for short-term rentals is kind of,
Hmm.
right in the middle there, and I think that those are still
Hmm.
legal in most places or
Yeah.
facing less regulation.
Right.
And how do you help people now? I know, primarily you're in property management. You help property owners in St. Louis, lease their properties, get the most for their properties, maintain
Yeah.
properties.
Yeah.
And tell us more about what else you're
Yeah.
focusing on.
We do some property management, but are switching more over to sales, commercial and residential sales commissions now, and then using those commissions to invest ourselves into larger buildings. Say commercial being 5 units or more, um, in more of like a syndication fund. So
Okay.
I help people make money in real estate
Cash
is
flow,
kind of the way I like to put it. Yeah.
cash
Yes. And
flow
it
income specialists, right?
sure. Yeah, and it helps to have that management background, right? I mean, I'm sure you can agree too, having one. Uh, it helps to, I mean, just cut expenses, make sure to
Mhm.
know what things should generally cost, rent. There's a ton of moving parts, utilities, insurance. If you have to have specific insurance for the tenants or for the use, commercial, mixed use. Anyway, yeah, it'll certainly help to have keyless at that as well.
And how long have you been doing property management in St. Louis? I think you said over 10 years.
A little less than 10 years,
Little
actually.
less than 10
Nine
years.
to be exact. Yeah.
So you're pretty familiar with the values,
Yeah,
the areas where a lot of other investors are buying, maybe buy and hold,
for sure.
and like I was telling you before, I looked at St. Louis just because I love your the cap rates there
Mm-hmm.
compared to
Mm-hmm.
Denver. I mean, we're at a
Oh,
5.
no.
I mean, maybe
Especially
now with
downtown.
all things considered, not even that, but looking at St.
Yeah.
Louis, yeah, it looked really good. I didn't, we hadn't met yet. Then when I was looking at those properties and
Right.
I was wishing I
Right.
knew somebody that could help
Right. Boots on
me.
the ground.
Yeah, boots on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So how do
Mm-hmm.
you help
Mm-hmm.
investors, like me that are looking for a higher cap rate from out of state?
Well, that completely depends on what it is that you are looking for. I mean, if you're looking for like a duplex, triplex, four family, there are a ton of those around here because it is an older city. And those are kind of our bread and butter, to be honest with you. Mostly in the city. The county and city are two very distinct, uh, different municipalities. Um, but if you're looking for 5 units or office space or commercial space downtown or a conversion or tax credits, there's certainly that angle too. So yeah, it really just depends on what you're looking for, quite frankly.
But you can help with residential or commercial, it sounds
Yeah,
like.
yeah, absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah, we only do residential management. We don't do commercial management, but otherwise, both are. Yeah, we do both.
But you can help investors purchase
Definitely.
commercial properties in St. Louis,
Yeah, or
when
sell them. Yeah,
or
or
sell them.
lease them. Yeah, we do a lot of commercial leasing here too. There's a lot of mixed use, like ground floor retail with apartments up top. Um, a lot of conversions. So yeah, we do a lot of help leasing and selling. Seeing a lot of sellers recently, especially.
Okay. And can you
Yeah.
share a couple success stories of just two that are top of mind for a
Yeah.
couple of your clients that you've helped?
Yeah. Thank you. And I'm glad you asked. So, a current success story is actually leasing in the commercial realm, helping a client lease their bank to another bank that was nearby. This could have entirely happened off market too. It's just even more funny, considering how much happens off market truly. But we ended up connecting them, and we are now leasing the space, and the bank can help a much needed community in St. Louis, quite frankly, and also see a bunch of tax benefits by staying in the area. As a current success, a past success is actually helping an elementary school buddy of mine sell his house right at the election, right during the election, which is surprising because of how unpredictable that time is. I feel like most
Mhm.
people that I listen to, most credible people that I listen to at least, are if they are forecasting a recession, they're blaming it on unpredictability basically, and people's um, confidence in the U.S. dollar.
Yep.
And
Consumer
so,
confidence. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So if you're able to make moves and recognize the market in real time, right? Because you've got to adjust pretty quickly nowadays if things are changing, especially nowadays. But if you can adjust that, I think good listings are selling. Appropriately priced listings are selling. If you can convince your clients that those prices are accurate, because I'm seeing a lot of like discrepancies between what sellers think they can list something for and what it's actually worth, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Maybe they're thinking it's 2023, 2024 trajectory when really it's more plateaued and kind of gone lower, quite frankly, housing values. So,
Is that what
um,
you're seeing? Values kind of cooling
yeah,
across,
yeah,
yeah,
for the most
with the
part.
interest rates, right? It maybe inevitably.
Right. They just went up recently. Hate to see it.
Hmm.
But it's also like kind of springtime. So it's really interesting. It's really kind of confusing
Yeah.
right now that's what I mean by like demand is still there because this is the time that people want to typically buy, now next month.
Yeah.
So demand
It's
is
kind of
still
like,
there if there's not something like huge that they have to do with the house.
yeah, it's kind of like gas and brakes at the same time, right? Springtime and everybody's
Exactly.
this is when people are thinking about moving, schools getting
Yeah.
out,
Yep.
and so people are thinking about that, but rates are going up at the
Yes.
same time. So
Yes, unfortunate to
we,
see. And these tariffs, I'm sure, are on everybody's mind. Um, especially kind of our relationship with China, I think, and worrying about them selling bonds, which could really have an interesting impact on interest rates here,
mhm.
the 10-year T note. So I think that's kind of keeping your eye on a bunch of these things will be a competitive advantage.
Yep. And you were saying, you being able to act quickly, and you helped somebody buy a property, and were you able to help them? Did they turn around and sell it right away for a lot more money because of their timing, or?
I'm sorry, which one was this?
Oh, I thought you were talking about somebody had bought it. They timed it. You thought they timed it just right when they bought a property around the election time. Did they sell it for more as far as that success story? Or
Oh, yes, they did. Yeah, they did very much so. Yeah, I think over the past really 1 to 3-ish years, basically since 2022, St. Louis has seen a very interesting uptick in home values, uh, and so a lot of people have a lot of equity here
Mhm.
that they can tap into if needed. It's a good cushion to have, a bit of savings. But
Mhm.
again, they have to be realistic with their values and not continue on this unrealistic, upward
Mm.
graph.
Trajectory. And
Right.
how
Yeah.
are rental values faring there right now? Are they remaining kind of pretty steady?
I similarly,
Yeah.
yeah, very steady. It's been a rather slow past, well, basically since the new year, quite honestly. Most recently, I've seen it pick up like in the past month, 3 to 4
Hmm.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
I assume because of the cap rates being so much higher there in St. Louis compared to a lot of other places, I imagine that you must have a lot of other out-of-state investors there.
Yes, we do. I've had clients from Florida, from New York, California, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of coastal cities which tend to be more expensive.
Mhm.
are finding St. Louis very attractive. I think Zillow actually listed it as like a great place for investors. And it's also very landlord friendly. A lot of the laws are, especially when you look in New York,
Mm.
a difference like that is huge. Being able to get people out of your apartment, God forbid, but say if it happens, it's a lot easier here.
And what are your thoughts on how do you access properties in St. Louis for like when you're showing properties, do you have
Hmm.
it, are you getting lockbox codes or giving out lockbox codes to other leasing agents, or how does that work now?
Yeah, it is usually just a standard physical lockbox that you got to put in the code for. Scroll the numbers and put in the code for that can freeze a lot of times or
Yeah.
break or who knows what. I've had a lot of clients to your point and to what you guys are doing. I've had a lot of management clients, a 30 unit in a prominent area, completely convert to keypad, everything, hallway doors, front doors, back doors. I mean, we're talking about 2 doors per apartment. That's like 60 doors, 60 lock boxes, plus entrances, plus basement, plus laundry.
Mhm.
But having that all in one system is just so convenient. Even if you might not realize it now until you actually convert, but once you do, it's like you can't go back after that.
Yeah.
Having the ease of being able to set a code, having the peace of mind to know that that code is deactivated, you don't have to worry about them, in the future. Is has I mean it's been incredible.
And what are your thoughts on all of property management going keyless? You said you've seen
Hmm.
one subscriber that was set up with a 30 unit going keyless. What are your thoughts on everybody going keyless? Because we have challenges, like you said, some of the lock boxes are sticking. In
Hmm.
Colorado,
Hmm.
we have some of them that will freeze over. So they'll
Exactly.
get ice over if it's,
Oh
it's
yeah.
a cold enough day.
I've
And
had
so,
to break one entirely, the whole facade. Yeah,
yeah,
it happens.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think it's great, but at the same time, I don't think that we can forget about the human element of the entire process. Um, it's okay to let people walk through it, but you should be expected to follow up with them, to talk to them over the phone, to
oh
invite
yeah.
them into your office after that. This should just be an introduction, but I think it should be an opportunity to weigh the human element even heavier, to be more personal, to follow up more, not an excuse, to completely remove it from the
Mm.
process. People want to trust their landlord. People want to trust who they're renting from.
Yeah. They want to know that they're going to be able to get a hold of you, that there's a live person
Exactly.
on the other
Exactly.
end. And I think at the same
Yeah.
time, without getting stuck on some of the details, maybe
Hmm.
around access with lock boxes, then you might be able to
Hmm.
focus more on customer service
Exactly.
at
Exactly.
that point.
Yeah.
On helping tenants and more feedback and also with landlords. Is that right?
Naturally. Yeah. I mean, if any company is able to automate a portion of said company, they should be able to put more attention towards something else in that same company. So it's the same thing for property managers, landlords, general contractors, whoever it might be that's using these systems. They still appreciate the ease.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And what are some of the ways in property management do you think with the services that you provide where you feel like your company, especially with your services, especially that you add value?
Hmm.
How do you add value for your clients?
Hmm.
For your well,
Oh.
I guess that's multifaceted because you help with sales and then you also help with
Yeah,
property
it's
management. But
very,
for our audience,
yeah.
I guess we can focus on property management.
Okay. So property management, I would say the vetting process is really uh, something that a lot of landlords tend to get caught up on, and just having somebody there who doesn't get caught up in getting money now. Like,
Mm,
somebody who's impartial. No offense to all my landlords out there, but some of them are a little emotional when you're when you have a bunch of money into a property and you're like, I need this sale or I need this tenant. Take a step back. Uh, be honest with yourself, quite frankly, and recognize the good and the bad of a tenant or an offer, and not just immediately accept it. I've had a number of clients that get good offers, but could a better one come along? Potentially no.
mm,
But same with tenants. It's like, do you want a tenant who has 500 credit score, and barely squeezing by with no transportation or something? It's like those kind of things that you need to um, either pass up on or take the risk, but at least you're taking the risk.
mhm.
And it's our job to advise on said risk.
Yeah, so you're helping them, and then in those cases make an informed decision, right?
Ultimately, yeah.
Like you
Yeah,
have an offer, and then going over the benefits and the risks of each offer
absolutely.
or proposal that
Yeah.
comes in, correct?
Yeah, because there's so many terms, and terms themselves are easy to understand. 30 closing in 30 or 45 days is doesn't require um, rocket engineering degree. But what does that imply for you? Does that imply that you cannot buy a property within the 45 days that you were hoping to, therefore you
Mm,
can't sell within 30 days? Do they have longer their financing? Can they take longer to find financing or back out in that case? So, you think you get to the finish line, but you don't.
mhm.
Are you going to defer some rent at the beginning to then, having them pay at the end, defer it? So I don't know. There's a bunch of different terms that could come into play, that people don't always understand the ramifications of.
That you're helping folks with kind of weigh out.
Yeah.
And they have the offers.
Yeah.
And how
Yeah.
can people find you? If they're interested in investing in St. Louis and they'd
Yeah.
like your help.
Yeah, absolutely. So any platform, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, it's at the Jay Rios. THCJAYRIOS. It's me.
Jay, thank you so much for being on our show today. Look forward
Awesome.
to connecting again, and
Yeah.
I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, you too, Madeline. Thank you so much for your time. It's great meeting you both.
Thank you
Take
too.
care. Adiós, Jose. Mucho gusto.